A procession of commoners followed a coffin into the chapel. A cough cut the crowd like a hot blade, causing a wave of hushes and groans. The perpetrator tried to cover it up and wave it off. Peter watched from the library window, all the different reactions, ranging from indifference to horror. Eventually, the procession moved forward, hoping it really was just the autumn air settling, or some dust that got in his throat. Hugh asked, "The jeweler's apprentice? Britcham? Or something? What was his name?" Hugh didn't wait for a response. "When was the last death?" He poised his hand, ready to release the sign of the cross. Peter replied with a shrug. "A few nights ago? It was a chambermaid, I think. Sir Conrad had to find a new room, and his stuff was burned." Hugh smirked and returned his pen to the parchment. He must have been inconsolable about losing those fancy boots he's always going on about. Peter said, "Yeah, a shame he's still up and about. What a waste of a good cough." Hugh paused and said a silent prayer. "You shouldn't joke like that, Peter." It happened often these last 2 weeks. As soon as Hugh seemed like a fun co-squire, he tightened up again. Peter left a smile on his face and continued avoiding working on his letters. The thought of Sir Conrad coughing until he stopped moving was a pleasing thought. Peter turned and watched 2 serving girls pick up bowls and cups left behind. They were pretty, for common girls, yes. But he was more interested in what they were discussing. Lysol twisted something attached to her thin rope bracelet. Peter saw the word Zauberin pass over her lips. Kath nodded and touched whatever that thing was that was on Lysol's wrist. "Zauberin," Peter said quietly. Hugh fumbled with his pen before blasting Peter with the dirtiest of looks. "Peter!" he hissed. "You mustn't speak of such things." Peter sighed. "We're all French like this?" He said. "Lysol and Kath were talking about one. I think it's the one that lives out in the forest. Let the small folk have their fantasies. It's an abomination." Peter shrugged. "Maybe there's something to it. The commoners seem to invoke it here and there, especially now with this cough going around." Hugh shook his head. Behind Hugh, Bernie made a face. Peter stifled a laugh, and Hugh didn't notice. Hugh had the bedroom next to Peter's. Sometimes the other squires would leave dog or horse dung at Peter's door by mistake. "Commoners call it a cough. Dr. Ordolph said it's nothing but a chill," Hugh said. "Winter is approaching. No need to chase common folk superstitions." Peter replied, "But people are dying. Maybe it's the usual winter sickness, maybe not. Maybe we should get a second opinion." Peter made his way down to the Great Hall. The hall was thinning out. The last knights left. There were only a handful of squires, a few guardsmen, and a pair of Swiss lanchonettes. Peter made sure the coast was clear. He needed to see the dragon. Peter walked through the kitchen, the cooks and serving girls bowing their heads. "My lord," some of them mumbled. Peter pushed the back door open. Brida was dumping her pot over a drain. He looked around to make sure they were alone. "Brida, mein Frau, that lunch today was just what I needed after a morning of hard training." She gave him a grumble before setting the pot upright. Smoke seemed to wisp from her nostrils. "Guten Tag, Peter. Glad you liked it." Her eyes narrowed. "What do you want? I have to close down." He said. "The girls were talking about this supposed cough going around, and they mentioned a Zauberin. What exactly do common, I mean, what do you think about it?" Brida went to her cutting board and brushed off the vegetable scraps. "The wise woman in the woods? Some sneak off to her when they're sick, or want to know their future, or want the forest spirits to convince that brave knight to abandon his vows and run off with them." Peter smirked. "That last one sounds a little too specific. One of your requests?" She shot him a look and ignored him. I guess some think she's fighting the cough that's affecting us us small folk. Peter rolled his eyes. You know I didn't mean anything by that. The knights and lords just don't talk about stuff like that. And Dr. Wardolph said it's nothing to worry about. He held a bucket under the board so she could put the scraps in it. But maybe she has some answers. If she's so wise, what do you say we use your tunnel to go find her? The dragon flashed her glare. After what happened last time we snuck out, I should skin you alive. Peter said, come on, it's been a moon's turn at least, we'll go tonight. Brida glanced around. She swiped the bucket from him and pulled her wooden cooking spoon from her apron. Peter reeled back. In her hands, it was as dangerous as a sword. You Doomconf would probably get lost down there and starve, she huffed. Without you, for sure. I'll ask Gabriel where the guards are tonight. I've been wanting to see her myself anyways. She glared at him with fiery eyes. Is your friend coming? It took a moment for Peter to realize who she was talking about. But Pope Hugh? No, I'll sneak out when he's asleep. All right, fine. Usual time and place then?